Good evening. Welcome to Channel 1 News Hour. I trust you've had a lovely day. Well, we have a comprehensive bulletin lined up for you that includes an exclusive interview with the Health Principal Secretary Susan Muchache on matters COVID-19. Well, for now, let's take a look at the highlights. First batch of COVID-19 vaccines expected in the country tonight. More companies reveal how they merely walked into KEMSA and came out with multi-million shilling tenders without due diligence in procurement of equipment to combat spread of COVID-19 disease. Elgeyo Marakwet rejects BBI bill. Mandera County gives it a green light. Welcome to the broadcast. My name is Jacky. Wambiru, our sign language interpreter is Byron Abule. Remember, you can interact with us on our Twitter handle at KBC Channel 1 or at Jacky Wambiru. Now, to kick us off, the Council of Governors has expressed reservations over procurement of the COVID-19 vaccine, saying county bosses were not consulted and are unaware of distribution protocols. Speaking during a meeting with the Senate Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations, the governors said they have no idea how the rollout will be conducted. The first batch of 1.02 million doses of Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine is expected in the country on Tuesday evening.
The Council of Governors Health Committee Chairman Professor Anyang' Nyong'o has faulted the Ministry of Health for not involving governors in consultations, training and procuring of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine.
The Council of Governors have not yet even met the Minister in charge of health. We have communicated by email, and that's almost all. My request was that we have a meeting and a discussion at the Council of Governors on this vaccination issue so that there is some understanding in the leading institutions of the nation. So I do hope that that robust discussion will take place as quickly as possible.
I think what we seek here as leaders is that let the protocols be clear and let the protocols be widely agreed.
Governors now want a meeting with ministry officials to clarify the vaccination exercise.
If they are telling us that when the vaccines arrive is when they will think of training, these things should have been done before because this was expected. And the government has already sourced some of these things. I think you should demand for your right because that's your right and health is involved.
The county bosses were responding to concerns raised by the Senate on whether county governments were involved in the process of acquiring the COVID-19 vaccine. This comes as medical experts call on the Ministry of Health to issue guidelines on contraindications for people with different existing health conditions, including allergies.
If you have any allergies to any of the substances that is used to actually keep the vaccine stable, and for some of especially for the AstraZeneca vaccine has been shown that certain egg proteins are used to actually keep the vaccine stable. So if you have any severe egg allergies, this vaccine possibly might not be one you would want to get a jab. So for anyone with any allergies, before getting the vaccine, it will be wise to contact your physician.
Meanwhile, 4 patients have succumbed to the deadly COVID-19 disease in the last 24 hours after the country recorded 345 new cases from a sample size of 5,550. The cumulative total of confirmed cases now stand at 106,470. 143 patients have recovered, bringing the total recoveries to 86,860. 378 patients are still admitted to various health facilities, while 1,494 patients are under the home-based care. Nairobi still leads with the highest number of daily infections at 198. Kiambu has 44 new cases, Nakuru 20, Mombasa 12, Kisumu 10, and Kajiado 9 cases. For Channel 1 News, I'm Ben Troy Njue.
Well, the full interview with Health Principal Secretary Susan Muchacha will be aired in our bulletin. Well, do stay tuned. Now, let's move on to the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, where our reporter Purity Museo is on standby, where the much-awaited COVID-19 vaccine will arrive in the country tonight. And Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe is expected to lead stakeholders in receiving the first consignment of the COVID-19 vaccine. Now, Purity Museo, kindly bring us to speed.
A very good evening to you, Jacky. Like you rightfully said, we are here at JKIA, and of course, it's official. The first batch of the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine arrives in the country tonight. And of course, the Minister of Health says that it should be arriving anytime at around 11:23. But from the tracker that we have, the flight carrying this first consignment of COVID-19 vaccine left Doha at around 6:30 p.m. Kenyan time, and we expect it to be arriving here at JKIA at around let's say 3 hours and 15 minutes to come. So let's say 18 minutes past midnight is the projected time, but the Minister of Health did say that now the time has changed to around 11:23. We are here to witness this, and of course the officials from the Minister of Health will be arriving here any moment from 10 p.m. to just officially receive this first consignment. And from the reports that we have, Jacky, the first batch of this vaccine it's about 1 million doses of this vaccine, and the Minister of Health said that they will be targeting the frontline healthcare workers, and we know that the registered frontline workers in the country are roughly 300,000. When you try to even add let's say the support team, then at around 500,000 doses should go to the frontline health workers and the support team. So the rest, of course, they had said they'll go to security officers, and so we will be really keen to hear what the CS Mutahi Kagwe will be making his way to JKIA any moment from 10 p.m. will be saying. And of course, they had said that once they arrive here at JKIA, they will be transported to Earth River, and then from Friday, it's when they can establish how to distribute this. But it's some good news for the country. Remember, next week we will be marking 1 year since Kenya reported the first case of COVID-19. And if you just understand the importance of vaccination, it's all about boosting the immunity. And for COVID-19 disease being an immunity disease, then we all understand why this vaccine is important. Kenya becomes the fourth African country to receive the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. The first, of course, was South Africa, and then we had Ghana, and Ghana was the first country to receive the vaccine under now the COVAX program. And then we also saw 2 days later, after the 24th of February, Cote d'Ivoire also receiving the vaccine. Nigeria was also expected to receive the vaccines today, as Kenya also joins the list. So Kenya may not have been the first country to report, African country to report COVID-19 case, but we can say that we are really, the government is really trying hard to ensure that the citizens are protected. And Jacky, there was a survey that had been conducted by CDC and Africa, and it revealed that most Africans are willing to take part or to have this vaccine administered if they are assured of their efficacy. So these are some of the questions that we will be asking the CS. But the good news is, even as this the vaccines arrives in the country, we had a country like France which had stopped the vaccinations, especially to the people above 85 years old. But today they resumed, and they said it's safe for them. So apart from the frontline health workers, from what other countries are doing, we know that even the elderly could be are safe to take part into this vaccination process. So it's something that we'll be keenly monitoring and seeing how it can even change the curve of coronavirus in the country. The graph has been really going up, and in the last 2 days we've had had a positivity rate of 6% yesterday, Monday, and today, Tuesday. And of course, on Sunday, it was 9.9%. And therefore, it's something that we are waiting to see how it's going to help, if it's going to help, especially flatten our curve as we've witnessed in other countries. So, Jacky, we will be here up to that time, whether this flight lands here at midnight, minutes past midnight, or even before midnight. We will be giving you live updates from the JKIA. For now, it's back to you.
Well, that is our reporter, Purity Museo, coming live from the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, whereby she has stated that the COVID-19 doses will be arriving in the country later on tonight. And after that, according to the officials of the Ministry of Health, the vaccines will be moved to the ministries at the River Central stores for distribution. We'll be keeping you updated on the developments. And now moving on, flagrant flouting of procurement procedures seem to be the hallmark of the Kenya Medical Supplies Agency COVID-19 funds scandal. In yet another baffling revelation in the ongoing probe by the National Assembly's Public Investment Committee, a company that had discrepancies in its letterhead was awarded an 180 million shilling tender on the same day it presented its letter of intent. Another company that deals in design was awarded a 42 million shilling tender to supply personal protective equipment. Let's take a look.
Tuesday morning, Eunice Cherono, the sole proprietor of Lyon Interior Deco and Design, told the National Assembly's Public Investments Committee that she just walked into Kenya Medical Supplies Agency's office and came out with a 42 million shillings tender to supply personal protective equipment, although her company deals in designs.
The situation I was so bad that I really relied on prayer. I prayed about it. And I can tell you without fear that actually it is God who directed me there.
But to the committee's amazement, she could not remember the name of the person who helped her secure the tender.
And yet she assisted you and you don't know the name of that person? It's not possible.
It is, madam. Nobody, I didn't pick any name there.
The committee also questioned how a commitment letter was issued before the intent letter.
In every single document that is there, there's total conspiracy that is there. Your letter of intent was dated 6th. These guys here should have told you, backdate your letter of intent. They must have forgotten, because they backdated their letter of commitment to you.
It was also the same case for Duke Agencies, which secured a 180 million shilling tender to supply PPEs on the same day its director, Elizabeth Katawei-Serei, wrote an intent letter.
Received by the
CEO, and the CEO has
facilitated.
PD, this is a procurement department, facilitated on the same day. It seems that you walked in with the letter to the CEO.
I disagree with you.
Give me the facts now, if you disagree.
Because I picked the commitment letter on 8th. I was called by KEMSA on 8th to pick the commitment letter. How the letter reached to CEO's office at that time?
Okay, Elizabeth, I've always said this is a committee that deals with nothing else except facts.
Yes.
Elizabeth, who co-owns the company with his 2 sons who are still in school, could not plausibly explain the discrepancies in her company's letterheads.
Our machine braked and there was no place. Okay. At that time, there is no place we can do. During that time, you all know there are no people in town, okay? This one, yes, we did on a different printer because the other printer which had letterhead has broke. And we didn't have any person to
Chairman, I think just an intervention, Chairman. I think you should also be protecting us from some of the very vague and irritating reasons.
I agree with you.
She's not supposed to be taking us for kids, telling us, Chairman, during that time that there were no people in town. Then how was she transacting business?
The probe also revealed that Lyon Interior Deco and Design and Duke agencies were paid in a record time of 14 days after they issued their invoices. The two are expected to avail more documents in defense of the queries raised. Kamche Menza for Channel 1 News.
In other news, ODM leader Raila Odinga has taken issue with a section of Coast leaders pushing for the formation of a Coast-based political outfit, saying it will claw back the gains of uniting the country. Raila challenging those planning to form a Coast region political party to ship out of the ODM party or to form a party with a national outlook. This as Elgeyo Marakwet County becomes the third assembly to reject the Building Bridges Initiative bill after Baringo and Nandi counties. Meanwhile, Mandera County Assembly has given a bill a nod, bringing to 43 counties that have passed the document.
The BBI reggae tunes ruled the Voi Town airwaves in Taita Taveta County Tuesday. Here, ODM leader Raila Odinga used the occasion to caution a section of ODM leaders led by Kilifi Governor Amason Kingi for their push in the formation of a Coast Region party. Raila lamenting that regional formations will bring ethnic divisions in the country, insisting that political parties must have the national face.
Wengine wanasema sisi kama wapwani tuna chama ya pwani. Chama ya pwani ya nini? Wapwani ni wa Kenya. Na pwani hapa, wakabila wengi wanaishi hapa.
Raila challenged those drumming up support for a Coast outfit to ship out of the ODM party.
Waacheni mambo ya chama ya pwani, tutembee zote pamoja kama wa Kenya. Kama wewe hutaki kukaa kwa hii chama, anzisha ingine ya kitaifa. Hiyo ni haki ya kidemokrasia ya kila Mkenya.
This as Elgeyo Marakwet County on Tuesday became the third county after Baringo and Nandi to reject the Building Bridges Initiative BBI bill. 17 members of the county assembly voted against the bill, while 15 were in its support. But as the Elgeyo Marakwet County stopped the BBI reggae, Mandera has joined the other 42 county assemblies that have given the document a clean bill of health. This now brings to 43 counties that have so far passed the BBI bill.
We have 34 who support yes, we have 0 no, 1 abstain, 13 who are not present.
The constituency is going to come with enough resources. It's going to have an MP, it's going to have CDF in future, or maybe even awards.
Meanwhile, the Service Party leader Mwangi Kiunjuri now says they are not ready for a BBI contest during the referendum.
Going to oppose this referendum to say no. Kwa sababu gani? It is not a constitution. Ile katiba itatokea, it will not be a constitution of handshake, or constitution of Kiereweke, or constitution of Tagatanga. It will be the constitution of the Republic of Kenya.
Elsewhere, Jubilee Vice Chairman David Morathe has defended the recent changes in the party's leadership that saw the removal of Caleb Kositani as Deputy Secretary General.
Even coalition agreements have exit clauses. So you cannot have a Secretary General of a party, or a Deputy Secretary General for that matter, telling you this early that he will be running on a different party in the 2022 general election.
Suleiman Yeri, Channel 1 News.
On that note, we take a short break. Well, don't go too far. We still have much more to come.
Fanya hivi, wewe teremuka tu chini. Hata watu wanangojea, unasema unione, si ninakuona ndio huyu kucha. Kucha ninakuona.
Yoi.
Nimekuita mara ngapi Kate? This is the Nissan Note.
Hii ndio motoka.
Not that this is the Nissan Note we are giving out.
Na ni rahisi sana kuwekelea bid. Unaenda kwenye lipa na M-Pesa. Unaweka paybill number 4032353. Kisha unakelea account number ya Nissan Note ni Note, N-O-T-E. Namba ambayo unapenda, labda unapenda 100, labda unapenda 200. Wekelea Note 100, Note 200. Alafu tutakuitisha shilingi 40 peke yake, 40 bob only. Weka pin yako, utakuwa umekelea bid ya hii Nissan Note. Inakungoja wewe mahali popote ulipo. Mimi na mtumishi tutakupea.
On the next episode,
Juhudi za Rais Uhuru Kenyatta za kulinda na kuimarisha maslahi ya Wakenya kwa kuangazia uhalifu wa kila aina ikiwemo ufisadi ni muhimu katika maendeleo ya taifa hili. Wiki hii kwenye Project 254.
We cannot be a country anymore where those who work hard are robbed of their profit by those who are too lazy to invest and produce.
Ofisi ya ODPP imekuwa ni mojawapo ya zile taasisi Kenya ambazo zinashughulika na masuala ya kisheria.
Rais ajue lolote afanyalo kupiga ufisadi kwa haki na ukweli, ana uungwaji wa mkono wa Kenya.
Welcome back. Now let's proceed. President Uhuru Kenyatta has eulogized the late Juja Member of Parliament Francis Munyo Waititu as a patriotic servant leader who generously served all people without discrimination. Addressing mourners during Waititu's Requiem Mass at Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology grounds in Juja, Kiambu County, the head of state challenged leaders to emulate the late legislator by transforming the lives of their constituents instead of endless politics and empty rhetoric.
Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology grounds in Juja, Kiambu County was packed to capacity as President Uhuru Kenyatta joined hundreds of mourners to bid farewell to the late Juja Member of Parliament Francis Munyo Waititu alias Wakape, who passed on after a long battle with cancer.
My husband was a man of the people, a man who stood by his family throughout, a man who was a hero to all who knew him, a man who loved unconditionally, a man who believed in sharing and caring, a man who put a smile on people's faces.
But like most of you, I think, are getting to know today, we all thought Mzee had only one mom or one wife. I believe so. But it's because he had one way of unifying us. And at the end of the day, he taught us respect, more than even relationship. He said that anybody could be your father or anybody could be your mother.
President Kenyatta eulogized the late Waititu as a patriotic leader who demonstrated all attributes of true servant leadership.
Hangekuacha nyuma kama mlikuwa marafiki. Hangekosa kukutendea wema. Na sana sana hakukuwa anagojea umuulize. Alikuwa mbele yako. Ukimuuliza anasema hiyo tumetenda, tumemaliza. Alikuwa mbele yako. Sio kugojea ati umuombe. Yeye mwenyewe alikuwa ametembea mbele.
In celebrating the life of the late, the head of state called on leaders to emulate the late Member of Parliament, whom he described as generous and honest leader who carried out his work with diligence and integrity.
Sio rahisi sana kwa kiongozi kuchaguliwa, hata hawa viongozi hapa wanajua. Haswa hii Kiambu hii yetu. Mtu anapiga term moja, anaambiwa about turn, anaenda. Kuona kiongozi amechaguliwa mara mbili ni kumaanisha ya kwamba wananchi walikuwa wanajua na wameona kazi yake.
Politicians who attended the Requiem Mass steered clear of politics, choosing instead to applaud the fallen legislator for his contribution and commitment to the fight against cancer in the country.
He transferred his expertise and knowledge in management to the running of the affairs of his constituency CDF. Na ndio sababu ikawa one of the very best in the entire country. I think it's something for which the people of Juja and we in Parliament should always be proud of.
Mheshimiwa Wakape alikuwa ni mtu wa kipekee. Alikuwa ni mtu anafahamu ni namna gani anaweza pata kile ambacho anafata.
Akiwa mgonjwa, hiyo bili yake ambaye alikuwa ana move, ikifanywa second reading, hangeweza kusoma. Na alikuja na akapatia majority leader makaratasi, tafadhali nisomee hii. Hata wakati mwingine alikuwa na swali, alikuwa ame lose power ya kusoma. Alikuja akatafuta member mwingine amsomee. Kwa sababu he believed atafanya kazi to his last effort to...
Mheshimiwa never lost the battle to cancer. Ile kitu amefanya, he has shown us that cancer can be a lesson. Kwa zile vitu zote ambazo walivyozidi kufanya kutoka siku ile aligojeka.
Waititu passed on February 23rd this year, aged 63. He was buried at his home in Juja. Ben Chumba, reporting for Channel 1 News.
May he rest in peace. Now let's cross over to the scales of justice, where former Nairobi Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko has been resummoned to appear in court on Thursday for the mention of a fraud case against him. Sonko, who was supposed to be
governor from hospital, Sonko's defense team, led by John Haminwa, on Tuesday urged the court not to interfere with the hospital procedure. Sonko, through his lawyers, told the court he is scheduled for a hip operation in South Africa and thus should be allowed at least 2 more months.
They have also confirmed that he has cardiological issues.
However, Sonko's co-accused persons were opposed to the application, saying they do not see any reason why the earlier production order was not complied with.
For further reference, we've made copies of the family doctors.
Meanwhile, a Nyeri businessman accused of hiring hitmen to kill his son has denied the charges in a Nyeri court. Stephen Wangondu was charged alongside 4 other suspects, including his driver, James Mahinda. Judge Florence Mushemi ordered the 5 suspects be remanded in separate prisons following an application by the prosecution to allow time to file additional affidavits. Charity Nyawira, a 6th suspect, a former wife to the main suspect, was ordered to report at the Directorate of Criminal Investigations offices in Nyeri every fortnight. The suspects are accused of murdering 32-year-old Daniel Mwangi Wangondu on the night of December 31st, 2020 in Muyongo village in Kieni West Sub-County, Nyeri County. Elsewhere, Likoni Sub-County Police Commander Jen Kavutha Munyoki and Nyandarua West Deputy Sub-County Commander Ephraim Karani were on Tuesday arraigned in a Nyahururu court to answer to corruption charges. The two denied the charges. They had been arrested last week in Nyeri at the EACC regional headquarters for allegedly soliciting money of up to 300,000 shillings from 2 residents in South Kinangop. The two were released on a cash bail of 200,000 shillings each or 500,000 shillings bond each. The case will be mentioned on the 23rd of March 2021. And the acting Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu has called on the newly admitted advocates to protect the rule of law and administration of justice and serve with humility. She was speaking during the admission ceremony of 204 lawyers held at the Supreme Court. Irene Mchuma Udim, Channel 1.
Residents of Muthure village, Kabete constituency in Kiambu County are a worried lot after a giant mugumo tree fell just a few days after a ritual ceremony was carried out under the tree. Mugumo is a highly regarded tree in the Kikuyu tradition, and its falling signifies a bad omen.
The fig tree, popularly known as Mugumo tree, is a very sacred tree, especially in the Gikuyu culture. Mugumo tree was traditionally a place of worship where ritual ceremonies were practiced either for repentance or for thanksgiving.
Kuna kondoo itachinjwa, hiyo ni mambo ya Mungu, sio yetu. Hiyo tutapea Mungu pamoja na miti.
In this regard, residents of Muthure village, Kiambu County, were left in a panic after a giant mugumo tree fell.
Kasikia ni kama sauti keke inatoka kwa hii mti. Sasa tukachungulia kwa dirisha. Ndio sasa ikagonga chini ikagonga chini na ikatoa mlio sauti mkubwa sana.
The incident coming a few days after a ritual ceremony was carried under this tree, and thereafter its leaves withered.
So what surprised us is that when it fell down, it appeared like it had fallen about a month or 2 ago. Looks like it's dry. It cracked into the various pieces that you can see, and yet nobody touched it.
Waweru Wanjawa resident says Kikuyu elders should visit the place and prepare for a ritual ceremony.
Hii si jambo la kawaida. Hii ni jambo la kuchukuliwa na maana sana, sababu iko na sababu yake. Na ndio tunasema lazima tuukane wote, wazee wa chama, tuite wale wakubwa wetu waje watuelezee sasa ikifika hapa tunafanyaga hii na hii na hii.
In the Gikuyu community, it's a taboo for a mugumo tree to be uprooted or even to fall by itself.
Whenever a fig tree falls on its own, there must be a message trying to communicate.
Ningeomba wazee wafanye venye inafanyika ili watuondolee hii mti.
Adhuria Kiama now have assured the residents that they will hold a ritual ceremony to unfold the secret behind the happening and give proper directions. Ruth Wamboi for Channel 1 News.
On a separate note, health facilities could soon be barred from referring patients abroad before exhausting treatment options in local hospitals if a private member's bill seeking the same is enacted into law. On Tuesday, the National Assembly passed the Health Amendment Bill 2019 sponsored by KSS Member of Parliament Swarup Mishra, which, if assented to by the President, will regulate the referral of patients to health institutions locally and abroad.
The fate of the Health Amendment Bill 2019, sponsored by KSS Member of Parliament Swarup Mishra, now lies with the President after it sailed through the third reading in the National Assembly.
Will as many as have got opinion say aye? Aye. And as have got opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it.
If enacted into law, it will, among others, compel the Health Cabinet Secretary to develop policy guidelines to regulate the referral of patients to health institutions within and outside the country.
Honorable Speaker, sir, I beg to move the Health Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 64 of 2019, be now read a third time.
Health facilities will also be barred from referring patients abroad before exhausting treatment options in local hospitals. The bill further proposes that nobody will be allowed to travel abroad for treatment without approval from the Ministry of Health. According to Nairobi-based medical facility Colombia Africa, 10,000 Kenyans seek treatment abroad every year, mainly for non-communicable diseases such as cancer and diabetics, spending more than 10 billion shillings annually.
In other news, mental health stakeholders in Murang'a County have raised a red flag over the rising cases of mental illness in the region. According to a medic at the Murang'a Level 5 hospital, 1 out of 4 people suffers from mental illness in the county. Dr. James Mburu, head of the psychiatric department in Murang'a, attributes these increased mental illnesses to prolonged drugs and substance abuse.
Murang'a Level 5 Hospital receives over 15 mental illness patients in a day, and the number is said to increase past 20 during the weekends. Most of the cases have been attributed to drug and substance abuse, especially among young people.
Madawa imekuwa kubwa sana masinani juu unaona vijana wengi badala ya wafanye kazi wanataka tu kufuta bangi.
Tunaona watu hata wakishikwa wanaenda wanafanya venye wanafanya wanarudi nyumbani tena kazi inaendelea.
A case study is that of Onesmus Mburu, who according to his family has been feeding on dog meat for over 2 years now. Mburu would be seen chasing after village dogs, where he would slaughter and boil them for a meal.
Hata akili zangu imekuwa inatoka kwa huyu mtoto wangu kwa sababu pia nakuwa nakula ubwa.
His family, after an advice, took him to the Murang'a Level 5 hospital, where he's responding well to medication.
Akasimama na huyu kijana wetu ambaye amekuwa wakimutibu na hata sahi tunaona tu anaendelea vizuri.
Iko na furaha nyingi sana kwa sababu mtoto wangu nimemwona akiwa poa, anaendelea kuendelea poa.
A visit to the county hospital tells it all on the extent of the mental illnesses in the area based on the number of patients it receives. Dr. James Mburu is the head of the psychiatric department in Murang'a and he attributed these increased mental illnesses to prolonged drug and substance abuse.
In this region, in terms of mental health, our statistics show us that we are having on average a number of outpatients between 10 to 15 or even 20 in a day.
Dr. Mburu displays a medical legal book where cases of those charged with murder, defilement, incest, assault, and other heinous acts are referred to before they are subjected to take a plea in a court of law.
The increase in the number of medical legal cases meaning people contravening the law, either damaging property, people being homicidal or suicidal, all that influenced by mental health.
Youngsters as young as 15 have been charged with murder cases over drugs and substance abuse.
And the substances mostly influencing and causing these medical legal issues is cannabis, which is readily available. We have a form of cat in the so-called mugoka, highly potent and highly lethal.
According to local statistics, 1 out of 4 people in the county suffer from mental health. For Channel 1 News, I'm Nisi Imano Okoth.
Away from matters health, close to 200 learning institutions in Ganze, Kilifi County are set to benefit from an infrastructure facelift. Meanwhile, more than 200 orphans and children from poor families in Maral, Wambiru County have benefited from bursary courtesy of the area MCA. Details of these and more from our county news roundup.
A section of learning institutions in Ganze, Kilifi County are in a sorry state due to years of neglect. Ganze, Member of Parliament Teddy Mwambire, has moved to correct the situation by committing a significant portion of the Constituency Development Fund to giving the schools a facelift.
Kwa mfano, ndani ya miaka mitano kama tunaweza kushughulikia shule kwa mfano 80 na tuwe tumezishughulikia kabisa, ni kumaanisha kwamba awamu nyingine ama wakati ule mwingine itakuwa ni kuangalia zile nyingine.
And in Wambiru County, more than 200 orphans and children from poor families in Maralal have benefited with free school fees from the area MCA. Maralal Ward MCA Fred Kiragu said ward administrators and council of elders were used to identify the beneficiaries.
Katika ward fund ijayo ya 2021-2022 kuwasaidia ni lazima labda tuweze kuweka milioni 4 ama 5.
Elsewhere in Nyeri County, Water, Sanitation and Irrigation Principal Secretary Joseph Irungu says the government is fast-tracking completion of development projects to enhance service delivery.
This is a day for development for Nyeri, and I think you can now demonstrate what the national government is doing in this county. And His Excellency the President is very, very particular about the project.
And in Muranga County, Kayu village residents were treated to a shock after a body of an 8-year-old was discovered badly mutilated and with some body parts missing. According to the locals, the minor, Hannah Wamboi, a grade 1 pupil at Ruathia Primary School, went missing on Monday evening while playing outside family's shop.
Saa 2 ndio hiyo tuliona mtoto amekatakatwa kama kitu baya kusijwa, tulimuona huko mambo ya kai ule alitupwa.
And finally, the mapping report on women, peace and security, which engaged women groups at the grassroots level, has been launched in Mombasa County. The women groups who participated in the initiative urged the government to ensure women rights defenders and peace builders are included in decision-making wherever policy is being made.
Ili kupata skiza tune hii kwa simu yako, bonyeza alama ya nyota 811 alama ya nyota 962 alama ya reli.
Aya. Unanipigia na reverse goal. Unajua ile kitu naweza reverse peke yake. Ni Land Rover nikiendea mawalifu mahali wako. Ndio wakucha wameingia kwa Land Rover chup. Lakini wewe kunipigia reverse goal. Why are you defrauding the government? No. Look for the airtime and call me. Okay? Ukipiga na reverse goal, hata mimi sita reverse. Unasikia? Tusisoyane bwana.
Ukitaka kupata skiza tune hii, bonyeza alama ya nyota 811 alama ya nyota 962 alama ya reli. Nyota 811 alama ya nyota 962 alama ya reli.
Next on. I came to live in your house.
What? No, that's not what we agreed on.
Hey, I thought you were going to be happy now that I'm here.
No, I don't want to have any obligations.
If you mess with one of my siblings or with me, I swear to you I
What? You're gonna do what, huh?
I'm warning you.
Max! 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 Quiero amarte. En tu lado.
Welcome back. Now let's talk business. The government says it plans to integrate e-mobility vehicles in its transport systems by 2025. Transport Principal Secretary Solomon Kitungu says the government will prioritize importation of electric motorbikes and mass commuter buses in the next 5 years, with charging ports erected across Nairobi in the first phase of e-vehicle piloting.
Although there are less than 1,000 electric vehicles in the country, players in the sector say there is need to create adequate infrastructure to support electric vehicles as global trend catches on. According to the Kenya Power Managing Director Bernard Ngugi, the utility company is in the process of erecting charging ports across Nairobi in the first phase of an e-vehicle pilot study.
As part of our implementation plan, we are developing appropriate infrastructure and building internal capacity to enable us support the use of electric vehicles across the value chain. To this end, we do plan to set up charging facilities across the country, beginning with Nairobi.
To further enhance a vehicle adoption in the country, the government says it will give out more incentives, including tax exemptions, to ensure that e-motorbikes and mass commuter buses are imported to support the country's integrated transport system.
The government has set a target of 5% electric vehicle share for all vehicles coming into the country by 2025.
Border drivers can more than double their income if they make the switch. Electric motorcycles can also be built and assembled locally, hence creating green jobs.
Among other government policies, all upcoming buildings must have a provision for electric motor vehicle charging ports.
The Ministry of Housing and Urban Development has made provisions for external charging ports to be incorporated into the building standards to support e-mobility charging at residential premises.
Electric vehicles are expected to reduce health expenses through a reduced carbon emission. For Channel 1 News, I'm Wangari Washuri.
The State Department of Cooperatives has pledged to help SACCOs get member deductions that have not been remitted by employers. Deputy Commissioner in the Cooperatives Department, David Obonyo, says they have the legal backing to compel employers to remit the over 4 billion shillings owed to SACCOs in the country.
SACCOs are owed billions of shillings by employers to deduct the cash from members' salaries but fail to remit the amount. Now, this was nearly crippling operations of some SACCOs, prompting the government to intervene.
We are doing something. We have the law gives us a mandate through the Commissioner's office to even appoint some agents in order to recover monies on behalf of the SACCOs.
Deputy Commissioner in the Cooperatives Department, David Obonyo, who spoke during the 36th Annual General Meeting of Kimisitu SACCO in Nairobi, pledged the government's help SACCOs recover remittances owed to them by employers to show up SACCO operations.
I want to assure all the SACCOs who have some non-remittance cases that we are doing something. And by the end of it, we hope they will be able to recover all their monies from those employers who have not remitted.
He said the government is banking on a task force appointed to recommend policy interventions and align the cooperative regulations with the constitutions in efforts to ensure smooth operations of SACCOs, especially in those based in counties.
The Cabinet Secretary, he has appointed a task force for the implementation of the National Cooperative Policy, which is expected to come up with the far-reaching reforms to enhance governance in the management of cooperatives and also align the Cooperative Act with the Constitution of Kenya 2010.
Kimisitu Chairman Philip Ayuko and CEO Luanga Mbeche underscored the use of technology to bring services closer to members as well as surviving the disruptions caused by the coronavirus pandemic.
The digitization process that we've actually done, all our members are now able to apply for their loans online. They're able to register new members online. We're able to do all the process online, and we also have electronic data management system that already we have put in place.
This is key because right now I don't think there's any financial institution that can call itself a financial institution if it's not run by technology. In fact, there are people who are constantly saying that technology has become the product itself, the banking itself.
For Channel 1 News, I'm Wangare Washuri.
The Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization has signed a deal with Premier Foods Limited to increase quality honey yields. The director in charge of the Karo Center in Naivasha, Evans Alatse, says part of the agreement will include capacity building among farmers to enhance quality standards that can fetch more both in local and international markets.
Currently, Kenya produces 20,000 tons of honey annually, despite having a potential of 100 metric tons. In a bid to maximize the country's honey potential, Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization has signed an agreement with Premier Foods Limited that will see Karo come up with technologies to boost honey production.
The demand outstrips the supplies in Kenya. Reason is, for a long time, even some of the honey packers have been getting their honey from Tanzania. Tanzania seems to be having a better advantage because of their land mass and most of the area that have not been put under human activities.
Varieties that we're working with here in the country don't give the yields that are comparative to global leaders. For example, I think the Chinese can actually do 5 times the yield of what we are doing.
Under the deal, farmers will be trained on proper beekeeping techniques and grow appropriate plants for quality honey production.
Now, this is a project that is not only looking at honey production, but looking at the aspects of research in terms of understanding bee behavior, foraging behavior, and also aspects of post-harvest handling.
This is not just a matter of people adding sugar, molasses, and all. There are certain parameters that you look at honey, you look at the sugar levels, you look at moisture, so that honey can be able to keep for long.
This is also expected to reduce cases of adulterated honey in the market and boost consumer confidence to drive up honey consumption in the country. However, Karo has raised concerns over the spraying of desert locust exercise, saying it might also kill bees and affect honey production.
Spraying also affecting the bees, so it's actually some kind of a collateral damage, which cannot be. So those are the kind of issues that we are saying, at least in the farming systems, the use of insecticides also must actually be carefully done so that you also don't affect other more important animals within that ecosystem.
KEBS has been urged to step up its effort to fight substandard honey in the markets to protect farmers from unfair competition. Benson Droba reporting for Channel 1 Business.
The Finnish government has extended a grant of 14 billion shillings to trademark East Africa in efforts to boost trade by reducing the time and cost of transporting cargo from the port of Mombasa to the hinterland. Now, Finland Ambassador to Kenya, Eric Lundberg, says supporting increased trade in combination with assistance to the private sector will accelerate economic growth, job creation and poverty reduction. Here's our coast reporter Michael Mondiga with the details.
The grant from Finnish government to trademark East Africa that is spread over 3 years is expected to, in the long run, deepen regional economic integration. The Finnish government is keen on reduced time and cost in transporting cargo from the port of Mombasa to the hinterland that will help boost trade within East African region.
We strongly believe that trade and development must go hand in hand.
When trading and doing business becomes easier, it also lifts more people out of poverty. And we highly appreciate the work that the Trademark East Africa has done with informal traders at the borders, the majority of whom are women, ensuring that the fruits of free trade trickle down to everyone in society. The key goal in the Finnish development policy is to reach even the most vulnerable in our societies. It is not enough to see the GDP of a country grow, but we have to also ensure that these benefits come to the poorest and the most disadvantaged in our societies.
Part of the cash will be spent on mitigation of the impact of climate change that has seen the East African region hit by extreme weather conditions, which has damaged infrastructure and negatively impacted transport performance.
But we also do work in the value chain, and this is an area that we would like to invest more because as we improve the supply chain, it's also important to have the value chain also improving. And what all this adds to is that we are seeing employment, we are seeing poverty reduction, but we're also seeing efficiency creeping in.
The grant will further be invested in bolstering COVID-19 economic recovery strategies.
Thematic areas that we would like to now collectively look into. This include the standardization of axle loads within the East African community, thereby ensuring that they're able to seamlessly interconnect and promote great levels of efficiency in their work and be able to then promote that level of confidence, but at the same time, cost and efficiency and value back to all stakeholders. They further requested for the harmonization of COVID-19 regulations with respect to EAC and the block it is, and thereby ensuring that the testing is minimized, but that we anchor fully with the World Health Organization's requirement for PCR testing across the northern and central corridor.
The deal was signed at the Kenya Ports Authority headquarters in Mombasa. Reporting for Channel 1 Business News from Mombasa County, I'm Michael Mondiga.
In other news, medical underwriter AAR Insurance Kenya has revamped its digital suite with the launch of a mobile app as part of its strategy to become a branchless and paperless insurer. The AAR mobile app enables customers, agents and service providers transact on mobile on a self-service mode, thus cutting the need for face-to-face interactions with company staff and agents. Here are the details of these and other stories in our corporate briefs.
AAR started operating in 1984. Its primary business was evacuation of medical and accident casualties, both by road and air. As its membership increased, so did the needs for clients, creating opportunities to comprehensively provide healthcare packages. The new app will allow users access information regarding their medical insurance cover, including benefits, besides helping them locate authorized healthcare providers. AAR Insurance aims to migrate 80% of client transactions to its mobile and online platforms in a move that will significantly boost business efficiency and transform the customer experience. The app is part of their quest to be branchless and paperless insurance provider and create a lean and efficient business. Meanwhile, Diamond Trust Bank has launched a job shadowing program aimed at providing students an opportunity to learn about the working world for a period of 3 months. The program, which is open to both continuing and graduate students, aims to encourage the youth to engage themselves in potential career avenues.
So actually you're bridging the gap between the theory and the world of work. And that is what you're doing today, just to give them an experience and to give them an exposure of how the world of work looks like.
Finally, Safaricom, in partnership with the Higher Education Loans Board, has rolled out a smart mobile payment solution to promote responsible spending. Students can access the system through HELB USSD and the mobile app, from where they will view their loan allocations, current balances, statements, and make payments.
HELB means to understand its customers, the student, much better through analytics. This will be possible through the mobile money transfer.
I think this is the first time
the students will be able to access their funds digitally. It's actually controlled on how they use their funds, and also they can also move their funds to M-Pesa for their daily usage.
The DFB Pokal Cup is back. Borussia Mönchengladbach and Borussia Dortmund renew their rivalries as they go head-to-head in the quarterfinals.
Pass from Marco Reus, the skipper with a perfect pass for Jadon Sancho! Oh, that was classy!
Who will get the city's bragging rights? Catch this match live on KBC Channel 1 this Tuesday from 10:45 p.m. Don't miss these exciting games live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
And on news making headlines in the sports world, the construction of the Olymp Africa Youth Centre is expected to commence soon after the signing of the MOU between the National Olympic Committee of Kenya and the Nairobi County Government, set for tomorrow at the county offices in Nairobi. Now, the county government of Nairobi handed the Olympic Committee the land free of charge and will be used to construct sporting and social facilities to benefit youth and the community in the area. It will be built under the auspices of Olymp Africa, with the main objective being to provide easily accessible sports for disadvantaged youth as well as advance social development through sports. Olymp Africa Program Manager Yai Ndiati Sal visited Nairobi to inspect the land located in Ruai, with Olymp Africa providing seed funding. Olympics Kenya and sponsors will fund the daily operation costs, while the local community will be in charge of the management and support of the implementation.
The center is open to everyone, so there is a lot of sport disciplines that can be played here depending on what the community wants. It's their property, so it's all depending on them. We will just be here to accompany them and give them the funds to organize what they want.
This is really going to be a life-changing project for the community around, both politically, socially, economically. I think we are really, really excited. And as a custodian of the projects of youth in Nairobi County, I can only say that I'm really, really humbled to exist at a time like this.
Well, just a reminder to our viewers and soccer lovers that KBC Channel 1 will be televising the DFB Pokal quarter-final game between Borussia Dortmund and Borussia Mönchengladbach tonight, starting at 10:45 p.m. Stay tuned. Now, Derek Akuza scored a hat-trick as debutants Uganda showed an impressive performance in the total Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations semi-final, beating Tunisia 4-1 at Olympic Stadium last night. Now, the team will now play against Ghana in Saturday's final.
The Sekafa region champions led 2-1 at the break. Basangwa's left foot causing on the damage for the Tunisians with a goal and an assist.
Cross here, there's the delivery, and anybody there to touch it? That's a brilliant turn. Oh, it's a great goal! How about that? That was excellent. The skill set, absolutely sublime. Uganda sitting in the driving seat and enjoying themselves. Basangwa gets the ball across! Goal number 2! Uganda have done it again! Kakuza scores his third goal of the competition.
Tunisia halved the deficit just 2 minutes on the turn when Belnamin tapped into the net from close range after keeper Jakoma Cage had pushed Chiheb Labidi's flick off a Berima corner against the upright.
Two players put together. Oh, it's in the back of the net. They've done it. Front post, beautifully done and polished off by that man there. Ben Lamine, the Sweden-based centre-back, smashes it in.
Kakuza netted 2 other goals for the Uganda side to make it 4-1 in the 50th and 73rd minutes.
Lofts the ball into the penalty area. Oh my word, if the flag stays down, that is sensational. The Tunisian defence have been caught out, caught cold. Oh, that's a good ball. He's onside as well. Kakuza! It's in the back of the net. He did it again. 4-1. Kakuza's on a hat-trick. The first hat-trick of this competition.
Uganda will now lock horns with Ghana in the final slated for the
Well, that brings us to the end of our bulletin tonight. For more news, check out our website at kbc.co.ke. My name is Jacky Wambiru. Our sign language interpreter has been Byron Abuli. Up next is the weather updates with Irene Muchoma. And then later on, after that, is the exclusive interview with the Health Principal Secretary Susan Mochache on matters COVID-19. Well, have a good night.
Good evening and a very warm welcome to Channel 1 Weather Updates. My name is Irene Mchuma Odim. City residents, the weatherman is warning of strong southerly winds of 12.5 meters per second Wednesday. And thus, it won't be so comfortable, especially for light aircrafts. We should take precautionary measures. Tonight, most parts of the country have been covered with partly cloudy conditions, save for the northeastern parts of the country where there are clear to partly cloudy conditions. And that is how the nights will be. Tomorrow, we're waking up to a sunny day, just like today. The northeastern parts of the country will mainly experience sunny intervals equally to the northwestern parts of the country, the Lake Basin region and western sector, moving all the way to the coastal strip, and the county of Nairobi and the counties around the region will mainly be sunny with a bit of cloudiness in a few areas in the county of Garissa and also a few areas in high ground areas of Meru and Nyeri. And in the afternoon, there'll only be showers accompanied by thunderstorms of a few places. These will affect Kisii and Kakamega areas. The rest of the country will continue to experience sunny intervals, and we'll see difference in temperatures. The highest across the country will be experienced in Mandera at 39 degrees Celsius. The capital will experience highs of 28 degrees Celsius. Let's now cross the borders and have a look at the international forecast. Good night. See you tomorrow, God willing.
In the next couple of hours at about midnight tonight, Kenya receives its first shipment of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. Well, Health CS did talk about over 1 million doses, and to help us shed more light on this is Health PS Susan Mochache. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much, Joe,
Madam PS, perhaps we can start with, you can shed light more on the shipment that is arriving tonight.
Yeah. So today at about midnight, we are going to be receiving our first dose of vaccine in the country. And we are very happy about that because a few weeks ago, it was not very clear when we will receive the vaccine, because as you know, there is such a huge demand out there. So the supply is quite disrupted. So we are very happy that we were lined up amongst the first countries within the continent, Africa, to receive the vaccine. So when the vaccine arrives today at midnight, we will then move it to our central warehouse, which is somewhere in Athi River. And once it is there, tomorrow we will be busy packing it ready for dispatch to the various counties in the country.
You have a deployment plan in place, of which you shared with the World Health Organization. Kindly, you can shed light on that as well.
Yeah, so 2 months or 3 months ago, we set up a team, a task force, whose work was just to think through how we were going to acquire and roll out the vaccine, the COVID vaccine in the country. So the team has worked very hard and working very closely with Gavi, which is the main partner who is supporting us in accessing the vaccines. And so we have a very clear projection of the vaccine requirement in the country and looking at the time frames within which we will have the vaccine reaching everybody who is intended to get the vaccine. So it is a very detailed and a very well-costed plan that we submitted to WHO, who needed to certify it before, the Gavi could even give it consideration. And we are happy that we also made it on that one. Our deployment plan was very satisfactory, and it's on the basis of that we are receiving our initial doses of 1 million vaccines tonight.
And it's an open secret that a lot of Kenyans have expressed their reservations in terms of the efficacy and in terms of the safety of this vaccine. Can you dispel those, please?
I think the concerns and the fears around the vaccine are not just in Kenya. These are concerns by, everybody in the world, because typically vaccines take a longer time to be produced. But these ones have had to be done very, very quickly. But what I would like to assure our people is that by the time a vaccine is being approved by the very stringent regulators, the US regulator, which is the FDA, or UK regulator, or the EU, and WHO certifying it, it is definitely a vaccine that has met and given satisfactory proof that it is safe for people. Because if you look at the world right now, there are countries who are almost finishing with vaccination of their population. So really, we have to weigh the risk vis-a-vis the benefits. And the benefits of having a vaccine far outweigh the risks. And so far, based on what has the vaccination that have been done and the research that is still ongoing, this is a safe vaccine. Otherwise, it would not get the blessings of some of the top regulators in the world and WHO as well. So I want to assure all Kenyans that the vaccine is safe. The only thing, of course, is that not everybody gets vaccinated. There are people who are not eligible. So the vaccine just targets people who are 18 years and above. So anyone below 18 cannot take the vaccine. The other thing is that the vaccine will not be given to somebody who's pregnant. So that is also another consideration. So really, and then there are some special allergies, which, when you're going for the vaccine, the healthcare worker will ask, like, allergy to egg, that we have been told would be one of the reasons why perhaps somebody can't take. That's the only one that I'm aware of. So besides that, the vaccine is safe to use, and it will be there for anybody who can take it. But we have to be very clear to also say that at this time, this is the phase 1 of the vaccines. And we are going to be rolling it out based on the categorization that informs us in terms of who are the first people to be protected. So for now, it's the frontline workers, the health care workers, because we must ensure that there's continuity of health services. Because if our health workers get exposed to COVID, and it takes a few of them, obviously the health system can actually crumble, and we have seen that happening in some parts of the world. So the first thing you want to do is to secure your frontline workers, make sure that they are all protected against COVID. Then you move to others, such as the ones that really the instructors, the teachers in schools, the lecturers in universities. So we move to that. The security personnel, uniformed personnel, the police themselves because of the interaction with the public, the prison wardens, of course the military. So that is the whole category that is covered within phase 1. Then when we move to phase 2, we will now be looking at people who are vulnerable because of the comorbidities that they have. That is, somebody living with cancer, so their immunity is sort of compromised, you know, people who have diabetes, people who have a problem with high blood pressure. So all those are in the category of high risk. So these are people, if they contracted COVID, their chances of survival become slimmer. So we will target that. We will also target elderly people over 50 because, again, we have seen the history of COVID. It's very severe in people of older age. So we want to protect our most vulnerable. And so that vulnerable group will be the next area that we'll be concentrating on under phase 2. And then eventually, you know, then the vaccine can be availed to anybody who just feels that they want to be covered.
And perhaps we can touch on the timelines, because even looking at Nairobi, Nairobi has been recording the largest numbers of COVID-19 cases. Are we going to be getting preferential treatment perhaps for Nairobi because Nairobi is worst hit and some counties are registering 2, 3 per day? What are the timelines of these phases?
I think, you know, one, let us accept that the vaccines are not available in the quantities that we would like. You know, they are really determined by what is available in the global market, and that is why between now and May, Kenya has just been allocated 1 million doses. But come May, we are going to be receiving our next doses, which will now be getting us to 4.1 million. So for now, you can basically say that between now and April, May, you're looking at 500,000 Kenyans because, you know, this is a double dose. So once you vaccinate the first time, after 8 weeks, you have to vaccinate again. So the consignment we have will cover 500,000 people. And, you know, the truth is also in terms of the practicability, how you are injecting and the rate of injection is not something that can be done, you know, that quickly. It will take us a few weeks. So come April, one other thing that is going to happen, we'll have clarity about our next consignment, because the total number of vaccines we expect in the country under this arrangement with Gavi is 36 million doses. So you're talking about doses that will cover 15 million people in the country. So come April, we will know when will be the next consignment, because by May we will have received 4.1 million. So, and for now, you know, no one can actually tell you when to start estimating for the next consignment because, again, the disruptions in the global supply. But we are confident that the path that which we have started with COVID, with Gavi, the very quick response just demonstrates that we should not expect to have, you know, long periods of time without the vaccine. We will. And we also believe that as time moves on, we will access other types of vaccines. But for now, what Gavi has been able to secure for us and other developing countries is the AstraZeneca.
And talking of concerns, have the healthcare workers been informed and perhaps if there's needs for training? Because yesterday, the Kenya National Union of Nurses Secretary General Seth Panyako did talk about they are still also in the dark.
Well, you know, COVID, you know, is not a normal phenomenon. And, you know, I keep saying that if you look at how we were waiting for commodities when COVID just came, when you're waiting for the test kits and, you know, even the PPEs in the early days, there were never guarantees about delivery until they got to your country. You would not put, you know, your plans on that. So even for this, we only got confirmation just about a week ago from Gavi that they will be shipping 1 million initial doses. And so then we got confirmation that they will be coming today at midnight. So again, you know, you have to wait it out. So now that we are very, very sure, this is why we are now coming out to say that the vaccines are here. There is nothing that, you know, is mysterious about it. It is better for us not to have talked about a situation which we are not sure about. But now that they are here, we can confidently say, and now that we have been told they've been shipped, we can confidently say that the vaccines will be in the country tonight. So just to tell the health workers that, you know, this is not a new conversation. We have been talking about availing vaccines. We as a ministry have been talking about health workers and other frontline workers being the target group. And it's just that, you know, the vaccine is finally here. And beginning the end of this week, they will start getting vaccinated.
Indeed. And talking of the medicine, kindly take us through the distribution chain from when we take it to our safe houses, the distribution process. How is it?
Okay, so one, let's remember that we already have an existing infrastructure that supports immunization. Immunization is not new in the country. We immunize our children all the time. And so we are basically going to use that same infrastructure. So when the vaccines come, they will go to our central store. Then tomorrow they will be packed, ready for dispatch to the different regional centers, because we have got the regional depots for vaccines, and these are special facilities because they are built in a way that they maintain very low temperatures, because you have to store the vaccines in very low temperatures, and the trucks that will also be transporting them are refrigerated trucks. So when they get to the regional depots, they will then be distributed downward to the county facilities. And for this week, we are focusing on just reaching one facility per county, so that we also learn as we are walking along. And so from next week is when we see ourselves beginning to now, go down to all the facilities within the different sub-counties. And, we are looking at having the vaccine available in level 3 up to level 3 hospitals. So we'll start with the level 4s, the level 5, the national referral hospitals, then down to those. In addition, the private sector, the private hospitals will also be given doses of the vaccine, and so will the faith-based churches. Because again, with the private sector and faith-based, we have already existing collaboration in terms of vaccination, say for the children, because those vaccines are provided free by the government, and so usually we work with them. So even for COVID, we are going to be giving them the vaccines, and they should be able to administer, and at no cost at all. Particularly now that we are dealing with an issue and an emergency circumstance, nobody is expected to charge for this vaccine. And indeed, if we find anybody charging, we may discontinue giving them the vaccines, because these vaccines are also coming as a grant from Gavi, and the government will also be putting in some money into it. And so really, we cannot trade with them. They'll have to be administered to Kenyans free of charge. However, when we now move to the commercial side, where the private sector can now bring in their own vaccines, then at that point, perhaps, they will be able to charge. And of course, we'll also try to ensure that it's not exorbitant, but they are reasonable charges for any Kenyan who can afford and does not want to really wait for, the way that we have scheduled the rollout.
And last year, your ministry did form a national task force on the distribution of COVID vaccine. Kindly touch on the progress of the task force.
Yeah, actually, that is the task force on the deployment, first the procurement and deployment of the COVID-19 vaccine. We are very happy with the way that they have worked. They've been doing a lot of activities in terms of, planning about this exercise that will now be beginning from tomorrow and tonight when we receive the vaccine. And in addition to that, they've also laid out a very elaborate plan on capacity building. And as we speak right now, we have health workers from the 47 counties here in Nairobi for training, the ones who will be doing the vaccination, and the ones who will also be going down to train at the county levels. We also have county officers who have got an ICT background, and we are also training them because we are going to ride this whole vaccination plan based on an ICT system. So we will be using technology to manage the data storage, and also to just remind people when they are due for their second doses. It will all be on that ICT platform. So all these individuals are now in Nairobi. They are going through training, and they will also continue to have another batch tomorrow. We will be training them, and this is going to be a continuous exercise as we move along. But the team has done a very commendable job. Not to also mention that besides the work that they have done on getting us to this point, they've also done the budgets and the whole financial plan around the vaccine. So the team is doing well, and it will continue to work, because they've also, by the way, developed the ICT portal, the www.chanjo@health.go.ke, the platform with which people will be registering. So we are very proud of what they have done, and we are confident that with them in place, and we'll continue to move this agenda very well. To also mention finally, I think one of the most important activities we have undertaken as part of that task force is to engage with various stakeholders. So we've engaged with the, the interfaith committees, we have engaged with private sector. We've tried to cover as many stakeholders as possible in discussions around this COVID-19 vaccine. And so far, all stakeholders have been very, very receptive to this.
Indeed. And we are shipping in Oxford AstraZeneca. There are plans perhaps to incorporate other companies that are manufacturing or making the vaccines. And of course, there is a ray of hope because 170 companies are in the final trials of the vaccine, or we are going to stick with the Oxford AstraZeneca?
Okay, for now, under this COVAX facility by Gavi, we've been allocated the AstraZeneca. But as time moves along, and when they give us now the second set of doses, they may now be looking at other brands. But as of now, what I know is that it's unlikely for us to get say Pfizer or Moderna or Johnson before the end of the year, because those manufacturers are already locked with orders from some of the bigger and stronger economic countries. But at some point, definitely, we are going to see the other vaccines coming in, but it may not be as soon as we expect, really, yeah. So for now, we see AstraZeneca being the primary one for the next 3 or 4 months.
As we wind up, of course, we've witnessed a surge in the recent past of COVID-19 cases, and especially in Nairobi and other big towns. How are you addressing that as we have now we are waiting for the vaccine, the surging numbers, and also as we wind up also, how are you going to address all the loopholes or any loophole that may bring about a graft in the process of distribution?
Okay, perhaps the easier one to start with is the issue of graft, and to say that, what happened with some of the procurements around the COVID commodities at KEMSA was really unfortunate. I think there were people who thought that the country needed so much PPEs and went and bought a lot of them, and in maybe a process that is being challenged. And, learning from that experience, we are putting better safeguards. There's a much stronger oversight on anything to do with the procurement of health products. So we are not only dealing with COVID. Anything that we are asking to be procured, we have put a very strong oversight over it. We have now, as a ministry, finally developed a system that allows us to also just track what's going on in KEMSA, and we are able to quickly get any flaggings of anything that may be a bit irregular. Also remember, after His Excellency the President directed that the processes in KEMSA must be open and transparent, we immediately moved all the activities and financial management to IFMIS, and IFMIS is a good system. So we are now having the kind of openness that you would not have had before. If you go to the KEMSA website, you will know which tenders have been put out. You will know the different stages at which those different tenders are at. So we are working very hard to ensure that that accountability framework is in place. And we are not working alone. Our development partners have also been very key, and they have also really given us very good technical support to strengthen the systems at KEMSA, because we procure literally all our health commodities through KEMSA. But I must say that for purposes of this vaccine, the procurement is being handled by UNICEF, and that is a choice that Gavi has made, not just to Kenya, but for all countries where they are supporting the provision of vaccine. So we are not even dealing with procurement of these commodities as we speak. It is purely a UNICEF process. I think
on the surge or the cases?
The issue of the surge, in fact, a good question. Of course, we are very concerned about the state of affairs and the fact that we are seeing an increase in the number of cases of COVID, and the positivity rate as well is seeming to be on an incremental path. And certainly, it doesn't leave anybody feeling comfortable. So what we are just urging and really calling out, that in as much as, life has to go on and we must continue to engage on the various things that we must do, the important thing is to ensure that we do not tighten our belts in as far as adhering to the protocols.
Yeah.
You know, we must endeavor to ensure that we keep our social distances, that we wear our masks even when we are going for some of these meetings, and really to just take personal responsibility. We challenge the politicians to take responsibility, and also the citizens. Yes. Don't take yourself into a crowd and you have no mask. So really, at the end of the day, we have got to collectively take responsibility and begin to push the curve downward. Because again, if we do not do that, we risk then, you know, having more restrictions imposed, because we must contain the spread of the disease. And I don't think it's necessary if we all just agreed that we must do what we must do.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Madam Pierce. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but I'm quite sure you lead by example by taking the first jab. We
Indeed.
saw Joe Biden do the same thing.
On Thursday, I'll be among the very first people to take the vaccine, and I look forward.
Yes, thank you so much for making time. We have been speaking to Health PS, Madam Susan Mochache, shedding more light on the COVID-19 vaccine, the Oxford AstraZeneca, which is expected in the country a few hours from now. Thank you indeed so much for watching.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Vera Beauty College.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College, with branches in Nairobi, Eldoret, Thika and Meru. Did you know that we are a TVET approved institution? We offer courses in fashion design, interior design in soft furnishing, event decoration, flower arrangement, event planning, hairdressing, barbering and dreadlocks, beauty therapy, makeup, nail technology, spa massages, teaching skills, TOT, solo business management, and many more. Register now and visit our website on www.verabeautycollege.com. You can also call on 0725 923 550 Nairobi branch, 0728 087 689 Eldoret branch, 0722 227428 Thika branch, 0725 000 706 Meru branch. Vera Beauty and Fashion College, a TVET approved institution.
Next on.
I came to live in your house.
What? No, that's not what we agreed on.
Hey, I thought you were going to be happy now that I'm here.
No, I don't want to have any obligations.
If you mess with one of my siblings or with me, I swear to you I will.
What? You're gonna do what, huh?
I'm warning you.
Max! 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 Quiero amarte.
Next on.
I came to live in your house.
What? No, that's not what we agreed on.
Hey, I thought you were going to be happy now that I'm here.
No, I don't want to have any obligations.
If you mess with one of my siblings or with me, I swear to you I
What? You're gonna do what, huh?
I'm warning you.
Max! 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 Quiero amarte en tu lado.
Nichukulie kwa mfano ndani ya matatu.
Yaani mtu mzima na miaka zake, hizo miaka zote mtu ajui kujua kuandika note, note tu peke yake. Kusoma kweli inasaidia.
Nini nakusumbua na nini?
Nauliza ni bwana
Chutia. Insult me, okay?
Mama yetu.
Don't you dare.
Haya, kwani umepita? Nini wewe? Yaani wataka kumpiga. Huwezi mpika mpike nini?
Next on
Ashanti Kotoko.